Hey everyone, Johnny here. Don't speak news. News you're not supposed to speak about, and we've got some of that on tap. But first, I came across this just as I was starting to record. This popped up in my YouTube feed. Scott Ritter is apparently live right now on an interview on Danny Halfong's channel, and how Putin's gloves are coming off as the Kursk offensive is going to crush Ukraine, and more updates about Israel and Iran and what may or may not be coming at this point. We've heard a lot of rhetoric back and forth, and we've heard about how there may be peace after all between Israel and Iran because, well, all there has to be now is a ceasefire in Gaza. Well, that's not going to happen. And so it's just a matter of when Israel and Iran actually go at it and how it all materializes. In the meantime, this is the scene in Tehran tonight, as it is completely blacked out. Massive power outage has occurred in Iran's capital city. And of course, I'm sure Israel and the U.S. will get the blame, just as it got the blame earlier today for a central banking outage in Iran that affected the entire country. So that's the current situation in Tehran right now. And the U.S. and Israel are going to be blamed, I'm sure. Now, moving on to Russia and what's going on in Kursk. Besides what Scott Ritter is saying here, we'll go to War News 24/7, the Greek website, as they're calling it a blood river in Kursk. Ukrainian invading force has been decimated, as now they're saying there's more than 2,000 dead, and the Russian Ministry of Defense says there will be no mercy. The Russians are also saying that American generals designed this Ukrainian operation, which would not surprise me in the least. So now the fence around the Ukrainian invasion force, as the Air Force tightens it, the Russian army and artillery forces and drones destroyed more than 220 armored vehicles from Ukraine or Kiev. The situation is beginning to stabilize gradually, but the Russian force is trying to cut off and encircle the Ukrainian invading force. But it's going to take a little time. So they're saying that this video here shows a full defeat of the Ukrainian armor column that was in this video. And destroyed in one day were 7 BTR-4s and another one, this BTR-4 and pickup, and all kinds of APCs and Bradley fighting vehicles they say were destroyed. And you can see some of those on the videos here, which I don't want to show you and get copyright strikes. But I'll put the link up like I always do on the website, don'tspeaknews.com. Now, the upper hand slowly and steadily seems to be taking over the Russian forces in the areas where the Ukrainians invaded last week. There is no fixed front line in the Kursk region. The enemy is trying to gain ground in some areas, but the Ukrainian troops have made a well-known official very close to the governor of the province of Kursk. And he added, the situation remains difficult but controlled and manageable. Individual groups of enemy troops are destroyed, and fighting continues in several areas. They're saying Ukraine has lost up to 420 soldiers and 55 armored vehicles in the last 24 hours alone in the Kursk region. The Russian CAA added that Ukraine's total losses in the area amounted to over 2,000 soldiers, 35 tanks, and more. Earlier today, the commander of the Special Forces of the unit Akhmat announced that most of the first scale of Ukrainian troops and resources that entered the province of Kursk have been eliminated, I'm assuming. According to this source, these projections have been stopped in the last 24 hours by the Air Force. In addition, the Russian army said it had hit a missile strike with the Ukrainian troops near the Sumerian communities. And there's more video of those strikes here. But all indications are, guys, in these videos that I'm seeing at least, and based on what this article is reporting and others on Telegram, that the Russians are, and according to Scott Ritter, getting rid of the Ukrainians. In this case, I would say more NATO troops than Ukrainian troops. But at the same time, they're saying that this operation was designed by American generals. And local officials and analysts directly denounced the United States for involvement in that they had in this invasion. It's a business designed and prepared by American generals. The number of foreign commandos participating in this company is huge or large. After all, as the Ukrainian prisoners of war themselves now openly admit, British and Polish mercenaries are participating in the invasion operation of Russia's Kursk region, as we can see here. This was the article that was published at the time, and this prisoner of war from Ukraine said this invasion was our last hope before the negotiations. See what a Ukrainian prisoner confesses. And there's a video here if you'd like to watch it. He said that they heard English, Polish, and French from the wireless communications that they had going. The fighting on the Russian-Ukrainian border is in the Russian provinces of Kursk and Belgrade is ongoing. We remind that the units of the Ukrainian ED, they invaded the province of Kursk last week, occupying some settlements. Now, as revealed to FSB officers, a Ukrainian soldier who's under the prisoner of war regime said that all men would be shot in the legs and thrown into the basement as they went into Kursk in these different villages. And as they explained it to him, the purpose of the operation was to invade Kursk and then Belgrade in order to understand more. So later in the peace negotiations, we could exchange our lands for yours. So this invasion in the Russian provinces was Ukraine's last hope, he says. When we crossed the border with Russia, I heard many talking on the radio. They spoke English, Polish, and even French. When we received our positions, I immediately heard gunshots and screams of people. And I'll let you read the rest on your own and watch the video, of course, on your own as well. I'll put the links up like I always do. And so last but not least, it says here that Russia is ready to execute nuclear attacks on NATO targets according to leaked documents. So now Western sources have reportedly leaked Russian plans drawn up between 2008 and 2014 for a series of overwhelming strikes across Western Europe, according to the Financial Times. Citing documents from Western security sources, Putin allegedly sought to enable the Russian Navy to execute nuclear strikes within NATO territory, where a conflict with the alliance were to emerge. Targets would not be solely military, according to William Aberkey, a former NATO official. There could be hundreds, if not thousands, of targets mapped across Europe, including military and infrastructure targets. Russia is evidently still capable of transporting nuclear weapons on surface ships, which experts say carries a significant risk of escalation or accident. The START Treaty, which was signed by the U.S. and Russia in 1991, was supposed to have eliminated this possibility, although many have questioned Moscow's adherence to it. I would question the U.S. adherence to it as well, as I was in the Air Force when these START treaties were signed, and I saw the destruction of B-52s and how that worked. And they were already obsolete. They were already, pretty much dismantled anyway, but since they blew up the airframes, then that was considered producing the nuclear force. It was ridiculous. But anyway, they see tactical nuclear warheads as potentially war-winning weapons, says Jeffrey Lewis, a professor at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies in Monterey and an arms control expert. They're going to want to use them, and they're going to want to use them pretty quickly. And they might. And they probably will. Who knows? But they've also got a lot of hypersonics they want to use too. So this Anton, I'm not going to try and pronounce that last name. He's the director of the Economic Research Foundation, has said that there is a global arms race that resembles the Cold War of the 50s and 60s. Russia is said to have north of 5,500 nuclear warheads in its arsenal, while the United States has just over 5,000, meaning the two countries control some 90% of such weapons today. But like I was telling my wife this morning, I said, if you think that once the buttons start getting pushed, that all these other countries that have these toys, like India and Pakistan, if you think they're going to sit by and not want to get in on the action and use their own, big toys, think again. Everyone's going to start pushing buttons. As soon as the first nuclear weapon goes off, everybody's going to want to use it because they don't want to lose them, right? So everyone will start pushing buttons at that point. Hence, worldwide Armageddon. And that's what we're on the verge of right now. And the localized one, too, in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. But it's anybody's guess as to when it begins. But keep your eyes open for the rest of this week. It's High Watch Week. So remember, the Host Trodden Day is this Friday, August 16th. I would definitely keep your eyes open on that day. And so that is it for now. I'll keep my eyes open on all these things as much as I possibly can. But remember, I'm a one-man show. So if you have some links to send to me, please do so. If you'd like to do that, click the subscribe, contact Johnny tab on don'tspeaknews.com here. And then here are the two emails to contact me, one at Proton Mail and one at Yahoo. And then if you want to subscribe, type in your email here, hit subscribe. Every time I put up a new post, you will be notified. if you'd like to support the channel, and we've got internet coming due on the 19th, so that'd be great. We have channel support tab right here, and all the ways to do that are listed right here as well. And we definitely appreciate those of you who have supported us thus far this month. Like I've said many, many times, we can't do this without you. So thank you very, very much. Then YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Telegram, click that tab here, and all the links to find us and all of our different channels are right there. And that's it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.